Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Convention with another installment of Shared Trait Spotlight. Today we'll be talking about two traits from the recent House of X set, Krakoan Revival and the Five. So, quick rundown for what these things are. In the current run of X-Men titles, from started from about a year and a half ago, and still going currently, Professor X and Magneto have turned the mutant island Krakoa into a homeland for mutant kind, and to discourage, the various non-mutant governments of the world just saying, oh, all the mutants are in one place, send in the Sentinels that we totally lied to them about. They are manufacturing miracle drugs for the rest of the world. One that's basically a super antibiotic, one that prevents diseases of the mind, and one that adds 5 years to human lifespan. The Quiet Council is the ruling body of the island. It consists of 12 members, divided up into 3-member houses. You've got, of those 12 members, 9 were featured in the House of X set, and of those 9 featured in the set, I pulled 6. So the ones I didn't pull being A, Apocalypse is the new Krakoan name, Kate Pride, the Red Pirate Queen of the Hellfire Club, and Nightcrawler. It's Nightcrawler, Fuzzy Elf. Also, quite likely the most spiritual of all the X-Men. The 3 who were not featured in the set were Exodus, who had a comic book version on a 2x2 dial in the X-Men animated series set. Mystique, who was who had an animated version, had a version of herself based upon her appearances in the animated series, in the X-Men animated series set, and of course Sebastian Shaw, who had a chase of the version of himself from the animated series in the animated series set. Yeah. Anyways, in fact, to be completely honest, there were 4 characters, 4 of the 9 Quiet Council members in the set didn't appear at least once in the X-Men animated series set. Emma Frost, Apocalypse, Kate Pride, and Nightcrawler. Anywho, now not every single one of them is going to make the cut. Now where the 5 comes in. Resurrection protocols. Mutant kind has found a way to cheat to beat death. Resurrection protocols. Basic idea is that Mr. Sinister has a database of all mutant DNA, and then that plus Cerebro having become a database for the mind of every living mutant on the planet, which is constantly updated by Professor X. And yeah, you've got yourself a means of bringing people back from the dead. At least the beginnings of a means. Which is where the 5 come in. So who are the 5? First off, we've got Egg, formerly known as Gold Balls. Egg comes in at 25 points, has the X-Men team ability, as well as the 5 and X-Men keywords. We have a trait, the 5, Egg. When a friendly character is chosen for the Krakoan Revival trait, after resolutions, you may generate 3 light objects in a single square adjacent to that character. Egg generates what have been revealed to be non-viable eggs of organic matter. Thought there was just, golden spheres. Looking at Egg's dial, he's got some sidestep and force blast. On speed, on attack, he gets some late dial precision strike. Got barrier on defense, and on damage, we have a special power, Eggs to Spare. Free, generate a light object. Okay? But, so, Egg makes the egg. And then Proteus makes it a viable egg. The genetic material of the mutant to be resurrected is injected into it. Elixir gives it the spark of life. Tempest ages the body, or ages the mutant to the right point for it to be, to the ideal age. And Hope Summers basically facilitates the 5 working together. So let's take a look at. We've already looked at eggs, so let's take a look at the rest. We got Elixir. Now Elixir is actually been showing up on a lot of my X-Men teams of late, and for good reason. Comes in at 40 points. He has the X-Men team ability as well as the Hellfire Club, New Mutants, the 5, X-Force, and X-Men keywords. He has his the 5 trait, Elixir. When a friendly character is chosen for the Krakoan Revival trait, after resolutions heal each character adjacent to them 1 click. Okay. Looking at his dial, we get a few clicks of sidestep followed by some stealth. We got 3 clicks with a 12 attack, but no attack power. On defense, we open up with some invulnerability followed by regeneration. On damage, we have a 0 damage value, but a special power, Omega level healing. Support. But Elixir and his target may be adjacent to opposing characters. When a friendly character uses the X-Men team ability, it increases their D6 result by +2. Okay, alright, so that damage power is very useful. Then we get some exploit weakness, which is actually less useful. It's more useful in the back end of a dial, but yeah. That support power is insane. Next we've got Tempest. She comes in at 50 points, has the X-Men team ability as well as the 5 and X-Men keywords. She has improved targeting, may make range attacks out of adjacency, including to target adjacent opposing characters. She has 2 traits. The 5 trait, Tempest. When a friendly character is chosen for Krakoan Revival, opposing characters can't use probability control until the end of your next turn. Okay. Then we have Unstuck in Time, which grants her probability control. And she may use it any number of times per turn, targeting a different character each time. When she uses it, except the first time this turn, after resolutions, roll a d6. On a 1 or a 2, deal her 1 unavoidable damage and remove her from the map. If you do, at the beginning of your next turn, an opponent chooses a character on the map. Place her adjacent to that character. Okay, alright. Looking at her dial, we get some phasing, followed by some sidestep. We get some incapacitate, followed by pulse wave. We got inertial deflection to start open up on defense. On damage, we are closing out with perplex. Next up, we've got Hope Summers. Hope is definitely one of the best ones of the bunch. So Hope comes in at 50 points. Has the 5 X-Force and X-Men keywords, 2 traits. The 5 trait, Hope Summers. When another friendly character is chosen for the Krakoan Revival trait, after resolutions, choose a standard power that character can use. Hope Summers can use that power this game. That's nuts. Especially with the way powers work, with the way some powers recently are going to be changing with the new rules. Her other trait, Psychic Power Duplication. As a free action, choose the 3 standard powers that adjacent friendly characters with the X-Men keyword can use. She can use those powers through your next turn. Looking at her dial, we get a 4 of stealth. On damage, we get some enhancement, followed by some close combat expert. And finally, we've got Proteus. I like the sculpt. Proteus here comes in at 65 points. He's got the 5 and X-Men keywords. The 5 trait, Proteus. Basically, when a friendly character is chosen for Krakoan Revival, during your next turn, that character deals penetrating damage and modifies damage by +1. Okay, that's not terrible, but unless you've got a reviver that's close to the action, it's not that great. Though to be fair, that last part is a possibility of the team I'll be building later. Now looking at his dial, we get some charge, some mind control, and some stealth. Nothing on attack to start with, but he clicks into steel energy. We got some impervious, followed by super senses, followed by a special defense power, burning through host bodies, which is a stop click, which also grants mastermind. On damage, we open up a special power of firmer grasp on reality, exploit weakness, and perplex. When Proteus uses perplex after resolutions, you may move the target 1 square. That then gives way to a final click of just regular perplex. Okay. So why are we combining the two to look at them? Well, for starters, the 5 come out to 230 points, and then there's the fact that Krakoan Revival is only on the members of the Quiet Council. So, yeah. While not all of them are useless without without Krakoan Revival, they're not as good without Krakoan Revival. As for our council members, we've got Professor X, 75 points, has the X-Men team ability as well as the Illuminati, Quiet Council, Starjammers, X-Force, X-Men, Politician, and Ruler keywords. We have the Krakoan Revival trait, as well as bartering pharmaceutical breakthroughs for Krakoan sovereignty. As a free action, choose an opposing character not on its starting click. That character's controller may heal that character 1 click. If they do, until your next turn, the chosen character can't attack. If they don't, roll a d6. On a 3 through 6, heal 1 click on its friendly character that has equal or less points than the chosen character. Okay? Looking at his dial, we get a few clicks of we get a nice chunk of a special attack speed power while you slept. The world changed, which grants mind control and stealth. And when he uses mind control, he has improved targeting, ignores elevation, hindering terrain. Characters may make ranged attacks out of adjacency. Yeah, that's always, and that's it. Then we get some sidestep on speed. Then we get on attack, incapacitate, followed by precision strike, followed by penetrating psychic blast. On defense, we open up with super senses, followed by defend. On damage, we open up with outwit, followed by perplex. Okay, all right. Next up, we've got Marvel Girl. She comes in 80 points, has the X-Men team ability as well as the Phoenix Force, Quiet Council, X Factor, X Force, X-Men, Cosmic, and Ruler keywords. She also has improved targeting, ignores hint characters. Krakoan Revival trait. Looking at her dial, we've got some running shot followed by sidestep. On attack, we alternate between telekinesis and energy explosion before getting the 2 final clicks of energy explosion. Defense, we open up with initial deflection followed by super senses. Then on damage, we alternate between special damage power, psychic backlash, which grants her out. First off, grants her outwit, and when a friendly character with the X-Men keyword is targeted by outwit, after resolutions, roll a d6. On a 4 through a 6, deal the opposing character that used outwit 1 penetrating damage. Okay, alright. But she goes between that and probability control. Next up, we've got Mr. Sinister. Sinister here comes in at 85 points. He's got the X-Men team ability as well as the Hellions, Marauders, Quiet Council, X-Men, Ruler, and Scientist keywords. He also has the Krakoan Revival trait. Looking at his dial, we open up some stealth. Then we get some phasing teleport back to stealth. Attack-wise, we open up with Precision Strike, followed by Blaze Lost Fangs. Defense-wise, we open up with Invulnerability, which then gives way to Mastermind. Then on damage, we open up with a special power, collecting samples to learn how to replicate powers. Outwit. When Mr. Sinister uses it and causes a standard power the target and chooses a standard power the target can use, he can use the chosen power until your next turn. If the targeted character has the X-Men keyword, choose an adjacent friendly character to also use the chosen power until your next turn. Okay, alright. Next up, we've got Storm. Storm also comes at 85 points, has the X-Men team ability, as well as the Marauders, Quiet Council, X-Men, and Pirate keywords. It also has improved targeting, ignores characters, the Krakoan Revival trait, and my best? No. The main bolt is still charging, also a trait. When she hits with a range attack after resolutions, give a hit character a Lightning Rod token. When targeting a single character with a Lightning Rod token with a range attack, she modifies damage by +3. At the end of your turn, remove all lightning rod tokens that weren't given this turn. Now looking at our dial, we have a very long run of running shot followed by some sidestep, an equally long shot run of energy explosion followed by precision strike, toughness followed by combat reflexes, leadership, perplex, and close combat expert. Fitting. Next up, we've got Emma Frost. Em's here comes in at 90 points, has the X-Men team ability, as well as the Cabal, Hellfire Club, Marauders, Quiet Council, X-Men, Politician, and Ruler keywords. Krakoan Revival trait as well as another trait. All Krakoans enjoy the privilege of diplomatic immunity. Emma Frost has Protected, Penetrating Psychic Blast. Friendly characters within 4 squares of the X-Men keyword who have taken damage this turn take a maximum of 1 damage from attacks. Looking at her dial, we open up with some Sidestep followed by Mind Control, Incapacitate followed by Penetrating Psychic Blast, Impervious followed by Super Senses, Leadership followed by Probability Control. Okay? And finally, we've got Magneto. Magneto here has 3 starting lines. He can come in at either 150 points, 90 points, or 25 points. He also has the X-Men and Brotherhood team abilities, as well as the Acolytes, Brotherhood of Mutants, Quiet Council, X-Men, Deity, Politician, and Ruler keywords, and improved targeting ignores characters. If he is brought in at 90 points, if he's being run at 90 points, he has the Krakoan Revival trait. Looking at his dial, we got about half his speed dial is running shot, followed by the other half being sidestep. Little bits here and there of energy explosion and telekinesis on attack. On damage, we open up with, or defense, we open up with special power, executing Moira's plan, which grants him energy deflection and mastermind, but he may choose a friendly character within 4 squares in line of fire instead of adjacent. And that then gives way to regular mastermind. We get to the special power again, the energy shield deflection, and then the special power one final time. Damage-wise, we open up with another special power, breaking human norms, which grants him leadership, and he also gets to retaliate. If no friendly character has been placed this turn, choose an opposing character within range that attack Magneto, or damage a friendly character with the X-Men keyword since your last turn. Place Magneto such that he can make a range attack targeting the chosen character, then do so targeting only that character. Then after the first appearance of that power, we get some probability control. Then after the second one, we get some outwit followed by perplexed followed by outwit, and then we have there once again on his last click. Okay, so that, and as for the Krakoan Revival trait, for all characters with this trait, when a friendly standard character with the X-Men keyword and a lower point value will be KO'd by an opposing effect, you may instead choose to turn that character to its starting click this game, and place him adjacent to a friendly character that can use this trait. If you do, your opponent scores that character and generates a bystander on this card of their choice, adjacent to any of their characters. Your opponent then scores 10 points for every bystander they generated this game via this trait, regardless of sources. Then we got Skinless Assassin, PhD, who's got Flurry Blades Monster, PhD Apes, Charged, Quake, Perplex, and Toughness. Then we've got the Orcus Soldier, who's a range piece. Coven Akaba, who's mainly support, especially with that prob and stealth. Horde Culture, who's got defend and support. And Phobos Armor, who has outwit and energy explosion. Well, I mean, those are really just like the main things they've got. So, the team we're going to build with, we're not going to use all 5 of the 5 or all 6 of our Quiet Council members for the team. In fact, some of the good ones some of the ones I really like don't make the cut. In fact, truth be told, with the team, only 2 of them make the cut. As much as I do like that Xavier and Marvel Girl, and as much as I love Sinister as a whole, as well as much as I love that Magneto, they do not make the cut. As for the 5, Egg's out, definitively speaking, and Proteus is out. So, we are going to need some backup, though. So, who's going to back up Elixir, Tempest, Hope, Storm, and Emma Frost? I might have some ideas. We do have a little bit more support in the form of Doug, Cypher, Ramsey, as well as Tessa. We've also got a couple of range attackers. Iceman and Cyclops. Also, we have a potential close attacker in the form of armor. So let's take a quick peek at this team now that we've got it all. Once we've got everything all rounded about for it. So we've got Cypher here. Cypher comes in at 35 points. Now, Cypher also possesses the Quiet Council keyword. However, I would say in part because he's not technically a member of the Quiet Council so much as the Quiet Council's interpreter. He speaks to Krakoan. He speaks to and for Krakoa. But also, like I said, his point value being so low, there aren't that many figures with the X-Men keyboard that have a lower point cost than him. But keyboard-wise, we have Hellions, New Mutants, Quiet Council, X-Factor, X-Force, X-Men, as well as improved targeting towards hindering terrain and characters. Looking at his dial, we've got 3 clicks of sidestep, 2 clicks of telekinesis. On defense, we have a special power. I've designed all of Krakoa's defenses. Barrier, toughness. When Cypher uses barrier after resolutions, you may knock back any number of opposing characters adjacent to his barrier markers to 2 squares each. Then on damage, we've got Perplex. Okay. We've already looked at Elixir. Let's take a look at the sculpt. But yeah, he's there in part to heal. And kind of make it so you don't have to use, you're not having to use Krakoan Revival all the time because everyone's getting KO'd. But yeah, anyway. Next up is Armor. Armor comes in at 45 points, has the X-Men team ability, as well as the New Mutants, X-Men, and Armor keywords. Then looking at her dial, we have an activation click to start with, which, gives her, it's got Earthbound, Neutralized, and Support. Now, starting on click 2, we get a couple clicks of Charge, followed by some sidestep on Speed. On Attack, a couple clicks of Super Strength, followed by a couple clicks of Blight's Claw's Fangs. On Defense, we have a special power. We help each other. That's what we do, which grants her Defend, Invulnerability, and Giant Reach of 2. Okay. Finally, on damage, we have a special damage power on her second click and her last click. Everyone get behind me. Stop. When this click is first revealed, after resolutions, you may place armor in a square within 3 squares in line of fire. Okay. Alright. Next up is Tempest, who we've already looked at. We'll take a look at the sculpt again. For those who are unaware, Tempest appeared in the aftermath of the Messiah trilogy. Or actually, I think may have been actually later than that. But she was a newly discovered mutant with time manipulation powers. Then after Tempest is Hope, who we also looked at before. Hope was in fact a mutant messiah, and was kind of a central force in the stories Messiah Complex, Messiah War, and Second Coming. She also played a large part in Avengers vs. X-Men. Next up, we've got Tessa. Tessa is another name is an alias used by Sage. Sage is a longtime associate of Professor X. He had her infiltrate the Hellfire Club for years when she posed as Sebastian Shaw's assistant. Anyway, she comes in at 65 points, has the Excalibur, Exiles, Hellfire Club, X-Men, and Spy keywords, as well as improved targeting, ignores hindering terrain. She also has a trait, Jumpstart Mutant Abilities. Perplex, unique modifier. When Tessa uses it to target another friendly character with the X-Men keyword, you may instead modify all of their combat values by +1. If you do, that character gets protected outwit until your next turn, and at the beginning of your turn, deal that character 1 unavoidable damage. To be fair, with Elixir being present, it's kind of just like, yeah, okay, go for it, and I'll just heal that 1 damage back. Anyway, looking at her dial, on speed we get some late dial Perplex, or Sidestep. On attack we open up with a couple of clicks of Precision Strike, and we end with a couple of clicks of Blaze Claw's Fangs. On defense we open up with some Combat Reflexes followed by Super Senses. On damage, we open up with a couple clicks of Outwit, followed by a click of Range Counter Expert, followed by a couple clicks of Shape Change. Okay, alright. Next up, we've got Iceman. Iceman here comes in at 65 points. He's got the X-Men team ability, as well as the Marauders, X-Factor, X-Men, and Pirate keywords. We also have a trait, Limbs, Freeze, and Shatter. When an opposing character within 6 squares misses Iceman, give that character a frozen limb token. Characters with 1 or more frozen limb tokens modify attack -1. When a character with a frozen limb token hits Iceman, remove its frozen limb tokens. Okay. Then, looking at his dial, we've got some Running Shot, followed by some Sidestep, followed by some Plasticity. On attack, we open up with some Penetrating Psychic Blast, followed by a couple clicks of Poison. On defense, we open up with a special defense power, Ice Shell, which grants Iceman Barrier, Toughness, and Inertial Deflection. That thing gives way to regular Toughness. On damage, we open up with a couple clicks of Enhancement, and we close out with a couple clicks of Empower. Alright, okay. Next up, we've got Cyclops. Cyclops here comes in at 75 points. He's got the X-Men team ability, as well as the Starjammers, X-Factor, and X-Men keywords, and improved targeting may make range attacks out of the adjacency, including to target adjacent opposing characters. We also have a trait called Sibling Rivalry, which grants him leadership. The rest of it doesn't matter for this team because Havoc isn't on it, but once per turn, when a friendly character named Havoc hits, modify Cyclops' attack combat values by +1 this turn. Okay. Looking at his dial, we open up with a special speed power, You will forget who you are for a minute, which grants him Force Blast and Sidestep. When Cyclops hits with a range attack, after resolutions, all hit targets can use Battle Fury until your next turn. That then gives way to Running Shot. On attack, we open up with Energy Explosion, followed by Penetrating Psychic Blast. On defense, we open up with Toughness, followed by Initial Deflection. And on damage, we got top half of the dial is Range Combat Expert. Okay, alright. Then we've got Storm, who we've already looked at. We'll take another look at the sculpt, though, which they really this new scale on the sculpts is so good. It does really improve the sculpts quite a bit. And finally, we've got Emma Frost. So a little bit of how the team is designed to work. So first off, you've got your two council members. Emma and Storm. Now Emma is, of course, 10 points or 5 points more costly than Storm. Meaning that if Storm were to be KO'd, Emma could resurrect her. Then, so the idea is that you've got, in order to avoid having to resurrect people all that often, you've got Elixir to potentially heal people. Tessa and Cypher provide Perplex. Cypher also provides some telekinesis. Another point is, now, placement. Honestly, Emma Frost stays in the back. We probably don't even ever move her from the starting area. Or if you do, just find a place to hide her. Though she doesn't have stealth. And keep Hope next to her. As you resurrect characters, give you're building powers on Hope, and soon enough Hope kind of gets to be the big surprise attacker. Storm, when it comes to resurrection, is one of your attackers alongside Cyclops and Iceman, because she's a good attacker, and which is why she'll actually be in the thick of things. Now this way you don't have to worry about, oh, I just resurrected a character and now I have to get them halfway. Before I can attack with them again, though, I have to get them halfway across the damn board. Or I gotta get them halfway across the damn map. That's not the case here. With this team, the idea is that you could resurrect someone next to Storm, and hey, they're right back in the thick of things. Armor is your closest combatant once you get her off of her activation click. Tempest is there for probability control purposes. And that is that's going to do it for this installment of Shared Trait Spotlight. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you thought Let me know what your thoughts on the team and the strategy. It's a 600-point team. In case anyone watching might be curious of how many points they do that and doesn't want to do the math themselves. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal account in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.